Okay, today we are introducing adjectives. We've kind of talked about it already, but we are going to put some adjectives in our ELA notebook as a reference for you to use because later on in the week you are going to write your own descriptive paragraph. So we're going to introduce it today, and I put a um, video on the Week at a Glance. It's just a fun schoolhouse rock about adjectives. So you can watch that um, to give you an idea about what adjectives do. Also, on your, um, yeah, sorry about that, Google Classroom, that's what this is called, under week 11:16 to 11:20. I will have the papers for your ELA notebook. If you are able to print those out, that would be great because you need to glue them into your ELA notebook. If not, let me know and through either through the Google Classroom or through Dojo, and I can create an assignment on Google Classroom for you, and you can fill that out. And then when you come back to school, we can print it out and glue it into your ELA notebook. Okay, so here we go. And this is where you find it, by the way, Adjectives ELA notebook. So you would just print those out. There's 2 pages, okay, and you would print those out. So an adjective, well, let's start with our ELA notebook table of contents. Okay, so open up your ELA notebook right in the cover, and it says table of contents. We've already been filling this in. The last one you did was inferences on page 8 and 9. So right underneath that, write adjectives, and we're going to glue those on page 10 and 11. Okay, so right away on table of contents, write adjectives and then 10, 11. If you need time, just pause me for a minute, go ahead and write that, and then start up, and we will continue. Okay, so hopefully you have done that. And hopefully you have printed off those pages. If you have not printed off those pages from Google Classroom, please do that now and pause me again and print those off so that we can complete our ELA notebook together. Okay, so you should have 2 pages, and we're going to glue one here. I would fill out some of it first. We're not going to fill out the whole thing because it's going to be an ongoing throughout the whole year. When you think of words to add to this, you're going to add them. But I would fill it out first and then glue it, but it's up to you. You're going to put one of them here, the one that says adjectives. And what is an adjective? It's a word that describes a noun. We've talked about this many times. Okay, it's not just a descriptive word because remember, 4th grade, we have to be more specific. It describes a noun. And then also this one. So we're going to glue this on page 10 and glue this one on page 11. All right. So there are so many different adjectives to describe things, so many. So what I want you to have is a lot of times we just cannot come up with the words when we're trying to write. We just can't think of the like a good expressive word. So I want you in your ELA notebook, I want you to have a resource where when you think of a cool adjective, you can add it in here. And then when you're writing, you can come back and you can look at it and you can get some ideas of some good adjectives to make your writing more descriptive. Okay. So, um, what I did was I broke them down into categories. And here are the categories: shape, appearance, sound, number, odor. That's the smell. Okay. Color, size, weather, taste, and texture. And we are just going to fill in some of them. And then you can fill in your own throughout the year or right now if you think of better ones. Okay. Um, so let's just do a couple. I made it bigger so that you can see, right? Because so let's think of the shape. Okay. When you're talking about how something looks, the shape of an object, what kind of things could you do? Well, this is where, when we're in class, people are going to be giving me some ideas, but I'm going to give you a few that you can write down. And then if you come up with more, please add them. And then when you come back to school, we can share them. So, a simple one is round, right? That's a shape. Um, Something else would be like twisted. Okay. So a shape could be twisted. A shape could also be deformed. Deformed means that it's not formed correctly, okay? So if something is smashed together or whatever, it's deformed. Another is it could be curly, right? Or it could be flat, okay? So if you think of other ones, please add them to this list and then share them with me when you come back. Okay, so these um, descriptive adjectives um, describe how a noun, the shape of the noun, okay, how something is. There's also, it could be fitted, it could be oval, it could be square. You know, you have all of those regular. It could be boxy. There's so many different ones. Okay, um, so just have fun with that and come up with some more. So you should be writing these on the paper that you um, printed off. Okay. If you could not print them off, then you should, hopefully, you let me know that, and then you should be typing these into your Google Classroom assignment. Okay. Next one, the appearance. So, how something looks. Okay. This could be so many. And a lot of these, because the shape of something is also the appearance, right? So, a lot of these you can overlap. Okay. So, if you're talking about how something looks, it could be messy, right? Something could be messy. It could be, oh, somehow I have the where I have it underlined. Don't want that. Okay. It could be blurry. Something could be blurry. Um, Petite. I like to give you different words so that you know, but petite, it just means small. Okay. But um, but it's just a nice way. Attractive. Oops, let's spell it correctly, Mrs. Fisher. Something could be attractive. Okay. Something could be shiny. Okay, so come up with a couple on your own also. Okay. I mean, you could do something as creepy, right? Something as sparkling. There, there's a lot of different ones. Just how something looks. Okay. All right. Let's go to sound. Okay. So this, think about how things sound. How would you describe something? So you're listening to some music or you're listening to somebody scream or something like that. Like how would you describe it? Okay? Obviously you could do it's loud, right? It could be muffled. Okay? Has anyone ever told you, oh, stop muffling, stop mumbling? Well, when you're mumbling, it's kind of like a muffled sound, right? It's not clear. Um, Something could be squeaky. Okay. Here's one. We're going to get a big word here. Melodious. Melodious is the melody of a song. It just means it sounds beautiful, right? So if you're listening to music and it's a very pretty song, it could sound melodious. Okay. Um, it could be quiet also, right? Um, Screechy, high. Okay. It could sound harsh. Okay. Think of some other ones. Sometimes you have a raspy voice. Okay. So there are a lot of different ones that you can use. You can come up with a couple more on your own, and then share them with me when you get back to school. Okay, so let's continue on. Also, when you are doing adjectives, they describe the number. Okay. Now, obviously, you can, one, two, three. Those are boring. Of course, that can. Um, but let's do like not specific numbers, but the amount of something. So you could do many, right? There, oops, many. Okay, there can be many of something. It could be numerous. Okay. Um, Another one is sparse. Sparse just means very few. Okay. Um, there could be enough. Okay. That's an adjective. Um, let's see. Some. Okay. We can do like sufficient. You can do empty, um, most. Okay. Half, whole. And then you can have the numbers too, like 50 or a few or um, any of the numbers would work. So go ahead and try to come up with a couple of those on your own. And remember, this is going to be glued into your notebook, and then you can use this when you do your writing to come up with some better adjectives, some more descriptive ways to make your paragraphs that you write more descriptive. Okay, the odor or the smell of something. How would you describe the smell? Well, it could be a flowery smell, right? It could be stinky, right? Um, let's see, it could be fragrant. There could be a fishy smell. It could smell spoiled. Okay, so these are all, you could do a musty, funky smell. There could be a gamey smell. Okay, like if you're, when you go, if there's any hunters in the group, okay, um, uh, the things could smell gamey. It could be a pleasant smell. It could be a sweet smell. It could be a salty smell. Okay, so any moldy smell, there's so many different ones. So come up with a couple of your own. Um, and then we're going to continue on. So this is the end of this, okay? And I want you to leave some space at the bottom of this to continue to add throughout the year, okay? Whenever you come up, like if you're reading a book and the author uses a really good adjective and you're like, oh, I like that. Well, you can put it in here to remember it for later. Okay, so let's go down to this one. So now let's do the color. Now, obviously, with the color, you can always do all your normal ones, blue, red, any color. Well, let's come up with some different types of colors, okay? You can write those because that's fine. Like we can do green, right? Okay. But you know all of those. Let's think of some um, colors that are not as common, okay? So, like amber, okay? Lavender. I love the sound of lavender. Okay, that's a color. Fuchsia. Okay, that's like a purplish red kind of color, fuchsia. You could do khaki. Okay, there are so many others. Mauve, lemon, maroon, aqua. Okay, there are so many different ones that you could use. So go ahead and put a couple other ones on there. Okay. All right. Whoops. Okay, now let's do the size. Okay. How would you describe the size of something? Well, obviously, you can have huge, right? Or you could do scrawny. Scrawny is like really skinny. If something's really skinny or small, um, you could do bony, right? Something that could be a size. It could be bony. It could, you could have massive, right? Obviously, you could do small. You could do tiny. Um, those are all ones. Let's see. What about bulky? That's one that is not used a lot. Bulky would be a good one. Bulky means that it's kind of it's just big and difficult to. It's not necessarily heavy, but it's awkward and it's just bulky. Okay, let's see. Let's go to the weather because weather, when you're describing weather, that is also an adjective. Okay. So, like um, well, the word rain is not an adjective, that's a noun. But if you did rainy, whoops, I accidentally did caps lock. If you did rainy, now that is an adjective. Okay. So you have to make sure you turn it into an adjective. So if you just say rain, that's a noun, but rainy is an adjective. Humid. Humid means that it just feels wet out. Okay. Like when it's really hot and wet and it feels kind of sticky, that's humid. Okay. It could be cloudy. The same thing, cloud is a noun, but cloudy is an adjective. It could be hazy. Hazy is where you have those low clouds and it's almost like foggy, hazy, which foggy is another one you could use, right? So try to think of a couple more and add those to your weather ones. Okay. All right, the taste of something, if you're eating something, how do you want to describe it? Okay. You don't want to just say good, bad, because you know Mrs. Fisher does not like good and bad, so please do not use those. So you need to be more specific. One of the tastes is bitter. Okay. Bitter is like where you have that, it's not a very good taste. Okay. Also, if it's sour, you guys have eaten those candies that are sour and makes your lips purse perched together, that's like, okay, so that would describe that. You could also do the sweet and the tart, okay? It could be spicy, okay? You could just do flavorful, okay? So that's a way of saying if you don't know exactly the type of taste it is, it's better than saying it's good. It could be flavorful, okay? It could be a specific thing like cheesy, okay, it tastes cheesy or juicy or savory. Savory is always a good one, which means it tastes really good. That's another one like for flavorful. Savory. Oh, yeah. It could be zesty. It could be crunchy, creamy, bland. Bland means there's not a lot of flavor to it at all. Okay, so any of those, go ahead and think of a couple and add those. And then finally, our last category is texture. Texture is how something feels. Okay, so how would you describe something the way it feels? Well, it could feel smooth, right? It could feel bumpy. It could feel, let's see, it could feel fuzzy. Um, it could be creamy. Okay, that could be a feeling, creamy. Slimy, right? Oh, slimy. It could be ragged. Okay, that could be the texture of it, or waxy. Okay, it could be a waxy texture. So any of those, um, dusty. It could be um, scratchy. Durable means that it's solid and it won't break. Okay, that could be the texture. There's so many different ones. Mushy. So just add a couple more of your own, and that would be it that we're doing for today. We're just making a resource for you so that later on in the week, when we do start writing our own paragraphs, you will have this as a resource. And you can keep adding to this anytime you come up with a good adjective. Okay. All right. Enjoy your day. Bye.